Hi, guys. Welcome. We are going to talk about why we need to stop using the silent treatment. But here's the funny thing. So I can't wait for the comments for this. Tomorrow, I am releasing another video about when is it time to use silence with someone and cut them off. So we're going to talk about this from two different perspectives. This is going to be a live video about why we need to stop using the silent treatment. And then tomorrow we're going to talk. I just want to make sure I'm saying that right before I continue on with this. Just want to make sure. So today we're going to talk about why we need to stop using the silent treatment. But then there is a time and a place to give someone your silence. So we're going to talk about what the difference is. When is it appropriate and when is it not appropriate? So today we are talking about why it is appropriate, sorry, I'm getting confused by myself, why we need to stop using it. But there is a time and a place where we do have to cut people off. And so this is where I want to preface it with this is, I saw another dating relationship expert share this yesterday. And he said that one of the things that concerns him about giving dating advice is it's really easy, really easy to cut people off, and to just say, walk away, let go. It's easy for someone to give advice on that. It's far more challenging to teach people how to stay in challenging situations and navigate through them. Because if we're always just cutting people off, then we end up lonely. But here's the thing. There's a time and place. There are some people that you have to cut out of your life, that you have to just go, okay, I'm not going to continue to entertain this. So I just want to preface it like, when is it the right time and when is it not the right time? So in this video, we're going to talk about why we need to stop using the silent treatment. But then tomorrow we're going to talk about, when you need to use it. So let me just bring some clarity so that you guys don't get confused by both videos, okay? Let me preface it by saying this. When you're in a relationship with someone who is narcissistic, stubborn, not open to change, they gaslight you. So they never, ever validate your experience. They're constantly invalidating your experience. These are people that, in situations like that, if the person is unwilling to grow, in these situations, you have to walk away. You cannot torture yourself. You cannot betray yourself by staying in a situation where people refuse to change how they are treating you. It's like, no, this is how I am. This is how I show up. Deal with it. And that moment, that is where you have to find the courage to walk away. But there comes a time and a place where you can't just walk away like that. It takes you time to make, some people, it takes time to make that decision. And so in that moment, you don't want to give people if you're not at that point of clarity to leave that person and you don't have the courage, you don't have the bandwidth to leave them immediately. In those moments, you need to give them silence. And the reason why is because one, you want to stop the onslaught of their attacks, right? And some people can be very nasty. They can just keep attacking and keep attacking. And when you continue to give them more information, you continue to give them more empathy, you continue to give them more vulnerability, they take that and they use it as ammunition, right? In those situations, quit giving them ammunition. Quit opening up, quit being vulnerable with them, quit sharing with them, just quit giving them ammunition. And so in those moments, yes, you've got to give them your silence. And sometimes now let's say that someone isn't going to, let's say that someone is in the process of changing, but their behavior is hurtful in the moment. And sometimes that's a difficult thing to navigate through because people are going to mess up. You're going to mess up. I'm going to mess up. We're all going to mess up, right? But when someone is in the middle of a mess up and sometimes in those moments, we need to teach people how to treat us. Like, I think that's something that we don't get empowered to do and to believe, is that we don't have to accept everyone's behavior, even the people that we love. If there are things that they're doing that are unacceptable, we don't have to accept that behavior. So in those moments, we have to just give them silence and say, hey, listen, not playing with you right now. This isn't fun. The way you're showing up in relationship is not fun. And I don't want to entertain this with you right now. So I just need to back off and give you some silence. So in those moments, that's when you need to be silent. And so I'm going to talk about this more in a video, not a live, but an actual vlog that will come out tomorrow. But on this video, we're going to talk about why we need to stop using the silent treatment as a form of punishment. That's what I want to clarify. Sometimes we use silence as a form of boundaries, right? I'm not going to let you continue to show up this way for me. So you're going to get my silence. I'm not participating with you. And sometimes silence is a form of punishment. I'm not going to talk to you because I am punishing you right now. You didn't show up the way I wanted you to. You didn't do something the way I wanted to. And so now I'm going to punish you with my behavior. And there's a difference. And you have to, here's the thing, you have to be accountable to yourself and knowing which one you're doing. And you really have to sit with yourself and ask your intention. Is this an intention of boundaries, or am I punishing the person because I'm pissed off and I don't know how else to navigate through this? So I'm just going to punish them with my silence. Okay. So in this video, we're going to go down the path of talking about silence as a form of punishment. And it's not just punishment. There are some people that, you would be surprised how many people don't have the bandwidth for confrontation. And so some people, I told you we go into flight, freeze, fawn. There's one more, but in some circumstances, some people go into fawn mode where they just don't say anything. They're just completely like, ugh. So now that we've established that, we're all on the same page, we're going to talk about why not to use a silent treatment to punish people. Because that in itself is manipulative. And it's so interesting because I know a lot of times we want to be on guard of how people are manipulating us, but we're not always conscious about how we are showing up and being manipulative. Okay. So this requires a lot of sitting with yourself and getting clarity for you. Why am I showing up? Why am I punishing this person? So when we punish a person with silence, what happens is that we're not empowering that other person to do relationship with us. We're cutting off their legs. We're cutting off their arms. We're cutting off their voice. And you have to ask yourself, why am I here? Why am I pursuing relationship with this person? Is it because I want to be loved? Is it because I want to be nurtured? Is it because I want to be respected? Like, why? Why am I showing up every day and doing relationship with this person? Why am I doing this with them? And you're like, well, ultimately, I want to be loved. Okay. Well, if you want to be loved by them, then you have to have some tools and you have to give them tools. You have to give them the opportunity to be able to do relationship with you. But when you just cut them off in silence, you're cutting off their voice. You're cutting off opportunity and ability to get back to connecting with you. Does this make sense? All right, I just want to come to the comment section. Antonio, I'm so glad you're here. I love you, darling. Super grateful that you're here. Hi, Ninja Wolf. I am doing well. I'm in Texas and I've been seeing a dear friend, and now I am on my way back to see my family. It's just like bouncing all around. So now I'll be seeing my family again, which I'm so excited to see my little nephew in his wonderful age of 3. That is nonstop entertainment. Hi, Thomas. Um, Thomas, I'm really glad you're here. He's so sweet. He says, I wish everyone a happy 4th of July. Yes, happy 4th of July, you guys. That's coming up. I have to tell you guys, it's my one of my favorite times. Like Christmas is all time, hands down, favorite holiday. I think 4th of July is right there behind it. I love, love, love fireworks. Love them. It's like a childhood memory that I just love. Which is why I cannot wait to get back to France for, I think it's called Bastille Day, because in France, they know how to do fireworks. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, very excited for 4th of July and all that that brings. Even when I was in Bali, I was telling some friends that when I'm in Bali, uh, when it would hit 4th of July, I would sing the Star Spangled Banner outside my villa. And Andy one day was knocking on the door and he had said, Babe, I can hear you singing all the way outside. What are you singing? I was like, it's my country song. Very proud to be an American. Alex says, Hey, Erica, how are you doing? You had a lot of anxiety yesterday from your dad's girlfriend. Ugh. Sorry about that. Maybe in that situation, she needs the silent treatment. And you're welcome, Thomas. See you later, darling. Antonio, you're welcome, Thomas. Be safe. Aaron says, oh, this topic needs to be talked about. Yes, 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 yes. Penguin says, you were right. My ex used my thoughts against me. That's the old me. Now that I have had your seminars, I have self-respect and strength. Surprise tomorrow for you. Oh my God, you are so sweet. But I won't be live tomorrow, unfortunately. But I'm really loving that. I always love when my work empowers people to become more free. And so when you don't have the right tools to communicate, or you have the tools to develop confidence and self-worth, you can remain in very unhealthy situations that are just not helpful. And so it's that liberating aspect of what I do that I just love. So thank you for sharing that, Penguin. Corey says, why after my silence, my ex baby mama wants to do breakfast and now dinner? Just confused. Corey, I've talked about the takeaway. Like when something is taken away from us, we feel the absence of it, right? So if she was taking advantage of you and you said, I'm not saying this is your situation, but I'm just saying if she was taking advantage of you, taking you for granted, and then you're like, I'm done. I don't need any more. I don't need this BS. And then you pull back and you leave her alone and you go take care of you and you become a better you. You become a more confident you. Then she is like, wait a minute. Now I want what I can't have. And so I would just really be cautious. And I think the best thing that you can always do in that situation, Corey, is just ask her, what's going on here? I think we play too many mind games in relationships as opposed to just having very direct conversations. And by saying like, listen, you disappeared and now you want to do breakfast. What is this about? What's going on in your mind? Help me understand. Always end it with that. Help me understand. Dan says, could you say something in your low, sexy voice? I didn't know that I have a low, sexy voice. You'll have to give me some more on that. I don't know that I had that. Orville, I've missed you. Thank you for being here. Orville, I need to get better at Twitter. I don't do Twitter as much. And you've been shouting out my lives on Twitter, and I don't get on it. And so I get on, and when I do, it's surprising. And I'm like, oh, and so I retweet you, but I need to get better at Twitter. Penguin, this is so good. He says, I cannot handle arguments. I become quiet. And Penguin, most of the time when we can't handle arguments, it's because we've not been empowered with our voice. We've not gotten used to the habit of standing up for ourselves, speaking our truth, speaking our piece. And so it's just a muscle that you need to cultivate. And just like all of us, we all have areas where we need to cultivate, we need to grow. So I would say in your situation, it's just you getting more familiar with standing up for yourself, using your voice, using your opinion when things bother you, giving it a voice. Antonio says, yes, but I'm laughing at Ninja Wolf because he says, following Penguin's comment, Texas heat ain't nothing to mess with. It's true. It is intense out here. Nathan says, I joined late, but it sounds like I was able to get the information as to why a gal more or less ghosted me. I won't get into the specifics here. That's very cryptic. You have to give me a little bit more than that. Thank you, Penguin. He says, yes, these words of wisdom speak volume. Everybody listen and apply these principles. Sharon made a comment, but you retracted it. I wonder what you said, Sharon. Oh, next slide then, surprise. I'm just seeing if Sharon rewrote. I wish I knew how to deal with being treated like this. Can you tell me what you mean by that, Sharon? Do you mean more of like when people show up and give you the silent treatment? Can you expand on that? Corey says, it's my situation, and it is my situation and bettered myself. Oh, wow. Okay. I love when I'm right. Don't we all? Okay. Yeah, you bettered yourself. So yeah, this is where you call her out. Honestly, you have a very call out conversation and you say, personally, my advice to you, I wouldn't even go to breakfast. I would say, listen, I would get her on the phone and say, listen, you've been gone. I've been doing my thing. What are you hoping to get out of us going to breakfast? Ask her point blank and let her woman up and tell you why she needs to invite you to breakfast. But if it's to get her back in her web where she's not going to value you, you don't need to entertain that one bit. That's just my advice. Not that you asked. It's better off with no people at all than them causing problems. Okay, I need to get back to giving advice, but you guys are saying so many good things. So I'm just like, I want to answer all these things because it's so good. So let's go back to why we need to stop using the silent treatment. Here's the thing. And G-Sun, I have to speak into his comment because it does speak into this. And Sharon says, yeah, her boyfriend does it to her to punish her and she never knows why. And G-Sun says, do you believe silent treatment can be used to enable narcissistic abuse? Absolutely. Hands down. Yes. So Sharon, I don't know if this is your boyfriend, but I'm going to talk to G-Sun about this and you can see if this relates to your situation or it may not. But in a narcissistic situation, narcissists love to be in control, right? So when you communicate with a person, and this is where I'm encouraging you guys, if you're the person who gives silent treatment, you're punishing the other person. And then for the people who are in narcissistic relationships, they are punishing you. And the reason why it's punishment is because you are not equipping, you are not giving that other person the tools to do relationship with you. You are cutting them off. The narcissist doesn't want to give you any ammunition to stand up for yourself, to use your voice. And they don't want to be put in a situation where they're going to be held accountable for their actions. You know, I remember one time I was going through a breakup and I was pissed at my ex and we had some time off, but then we started talking again. I was like, I'm not going to talk to them. And I had a dear friend who called me out and she said, you're just punishing him. And I was like, you know what? She was right. And that moment, my intention was not about boundaries. It was about punishing. And I was like, ooh, that's not cool. That's not cool. And I had to call myself out on that. And so that's why I want you to pivot of understanding when it is something where you're punishing someone and when you are having boundaries. So in this context, once again, just to wrap this together, is that we are talking about when we're using the silent treatment to punish people. So this shows one emotional immaturity on the person's part who's giving the silent treatment. When you give the silent treatment, you might feel like you have the power, but typically you're preying on someone who's weaker than you or who's not as emotionally savvy as you. And preying on the weak doesn't make you powerful. It just exposes your level of weakness. It exposes your level of incapability to do relationship and to have emotional health to be facilitated through your relationship. So if you're the punisher, if you're the person giving the silent treatment, the way that you come out of this is finding ways to practice vulnerability. And I have an amazing vulnerability course on my website to help you out with that. Go to aricaangelo.com. You've got to start getting comfortable with vulnerability because if you, now this is for a person who wants to come out of this situation, right? Now, if you're comfortable punishing people, then I don't even know why you're here. Like, this is for empowering people. This isn't the channel for you, right? There's got to be like a pro narcissist channel somewhere that you can go watch. This isn't your space. But for the person who you're like, Arica, yes, I show up and this is how I navigate in my relationships. I give people the silent treatment. And now that you're putting context to that and you're saying that I'm punishing people, whoa, that's a slap in my face, as it was for me when my friend said, you're punishing. You're not, this isn't boundaries right now. You're just punishing. When we're in that and we want to change, we change through vulnerability. And this is what the first conversation sounds like. Are you ready? If this is you, I want you to pay attention. We're at the 20-minute mark. You can get a pen and a paper, and I want you to write this down. When you are punishing, this is how you start moving forward in your relationship. If you're ready to change your ways, say, hey, listen, I haven't done a good job with communicating with you when things get heated or when I don't get my way or it's not going in the direction I want it to go. And what I've done in the past is I've given you the silent treatment. And I'm not comfortable with showing up that way because I feel like that's me punishing you in some regards. So I am just communicating to you that I want to change this dynamic. And I'm even asking for your help. And so then you tell them how you're going to change it. You just don't make this bold statement. They're like, okay, great. What's going to change? And you say, listen, one thing that I need to do is I need to get used to being uncomfortable when I vulnerably express myself. I feel very scared. I feel disempowered. I feel like I'm giving you ammunition to hurt me. Whatever your context is of why you choose to not show up vulnerably. So I am going to do my best with you to start communicating from my heart, from my feelings, and I'm going to tell you what's really going on inside of here. Instead of making it about this shiny object, I'm going to make it about me. We don't like when our government gives us shiny objects to go, look, pay attention to this disaster while we push these legislations through. We don't like that. We don't like being manipulated. And so typically any person who has to manipulate, and this is manipulative behavior, let's just call a spade a spade. It's manipulative behavior, point blank. Typically, when a person needs to manipulate, and this is a consistent behavior, I'm not talking about a one-time event. Yeah, we all mess up. We have to acknowledge when we mess up. But if this is consistent behavior, then in that moment, you have to understand if that's you and you're the person who's giving people silent treatment, that you're being manipulative. And all it does is it highlights your insecurity and your incapability to show up and do relationship in a healthy way that is vulnerably communicating from yourself and allowing the other person to do so. And I think that big pill is what we have to swallow first and foremost, is just to get really clear on what's going on inside of us. And listen, that's not to slam you. That's not to shame you, because I personally don't think that any of us have it all figured out. I have yet in my 41 going on 42 years, next month is my birthday month. I have yet in my 41, soon to be 42 years, met someone who has it all together. In fact, every human being that I have met, that I look on the outside and I go, oh my gosh, that person has it together. The more time I spend with them, the more that goes on in their life, I see, wow, they're a mess just like everyone else. So most of us, we all have our mess. Okay. So this isn't to shame you. But what this is to say is when you get clarity of why you're showing up the way that you're admitting to yourself, I don't have the emotional fortitude to be vulnerable. I need to change that. I'm emotionally immature. I feel insecure in relationships and navigating hard times. So I hurt people and manipulate them with my silent treatment. I punish them with my silent treatment. It's like they say in AA, it's the first thing is admitting it, and I think having that conversation with yourself is the start of something very powerful, is the start of something, a beautiful transformation that you can experience. But the first place is just admitting, like, I give the silent treatment to punish people. I give the silent treatment to be manipulative. I give the silent treatment because I don't know how to navigate through tough waters. And having a conversation with the person that you're doing life with, saying that to them, that becomes the new groundwork for real intimacy, for real connection to bloom. And let me tell you, if you're caught up in the silent treatment, I can promise you this, you are not wholeheartedly enjoying your relationship. Your relationship is coming with a burden. Why? Because you're not giving your whole heart, and you're not giving them the opportunity to share their whole heart with you, because you're not a safe person. You're not being safe with them. So we don't want to cut people off. It's a very passive aggressive way of handling things. And I know I've seen in my own life, because I'm the opposite. I'm not passive aggressive. I'm like, let me get up in your face. Oh, what? You want, you know? And so I've seen passive aggressive people, when they're more quiet and they do the silent treatment, it's like, well, I'm not getting escalated as you. And I'm like, no, but you're being passive aggressive, and it's equally as hurtful, and it's equally as deceptive. And it's not okay. So, having a conversation about your behavior lets the other person know, hey, I am trying to create a team between us. I am tired of this one off of me against you. This isn't working. I want to create a team. And this is me coming to you in my vulnerability, in my humility, and saying, hey, let's get on the same page. I've been blowing it. It sucks. And I'm really sorry. And I really want to change this dynamic in our relationship. Sharon says, I tried to do it back just recently. He said, you're not talking to me, after he realizes he did something awful to me. Yeah, I call that mirroring. And I don't think that's a term I came up with, Sharon. But yeah, sometimes when people are doing this, and maybe they're not a narcissist, maybe it's just their coping mechanism. I remember growing up, my dad used to do that to me. He did a lot of mirroring with me. I tell you what, it's aggravating when it happens, but it actually works. And so it's, yeah, showing him like, okay, this is how you show up. And so I just want to mirror to you how you're showing up here. And do you like it? Are you enjoying it? No. Okay. Well, then maybe we need to change this dynamic. So good for you for mirroring. I just want to read the other comments. Antonio says, hey, Gemini Cancer, glad you're here. I know when someone thinks that they want to walk all over me, I just cut the person completely off. Forget the silent treatment. I would just cut them off completely. So Antonio, tomorrow's video is going to speak to this. Gemini Cancer says the silent treatment is a joke. Matt says, hi, Arica, you sneak, you caught me out. I'm just programmed to expecting live at 9 p.m. I know, I change it all the time. Here's a challenge of when you follow a YouTuber who's always traveling, is you just never know what you're going to get. So for some people that might be fun, and some people will be like, I can't keep up. Yeah, Sharon, and in your situation, I think having just a straight up conversation, calling it out and saying, listen, this feels like punishment and I'm not enjoying it. And this dynamic can't continue to go on. So we need to find a different solution here. I'm not enjoying this at all. Laporta says, is there such a thing as an age gap for men in their 30s, considering a job at a local university, and might obviously be a good supply of females? Appreciate it and be well. I mean, I feel like in the 30s, you can kind of go either way, right? I mean, what do you mean, going up or going down in age? I feel like that's a pretty middle ground age. Blair says, I've never been through this silent treatment. It's strange. That mean, yeah, it's a weird form of it's a very interesting way of showing up in relationship. Matt says, I love your tan, Arica. Thank you. Let's see who else. I'm just trying to read your comments. Thank you, Jason. You look good for someone who's going to be 42. Thank you. Nathan says being passive aggressive is probably more hurtful in my opinion, since you don't know what you did. I agree. I think, I read there's a book about CPTSD, and it's called Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. And they talk about in that book that sometimes neglect, which I think that passive aggressiveness and withdrawing can be a part of that is actually more damaging and abuse than anything else. At least when someone's being direct with you, even though it hurts, you understand that, okay, I know what's going on because it's right there in my face. But when someone's passive, it's almost like this, you're fighting phantom. Brene Brown says that being able to name our emotions, it actually helps us like navigate through things, to move through things. When someone's passive aggressive, they don't give you that opportunity to name the experience. And so it's super deceptive, in my opinion, and super toxic. Matt says, Jason, she's not 42 yet. She looks 28 easily. Thank you, guys. Sharon says, thank you. You're welcome. G Sun says, thank you for explaining, Arica. The empaths suffer the most at the hands of the narcissists. Yeah, narcissists love empaths because they never call them out. They just always give them compassion. But empaths have to learn boundaries. And that is a hard thing as a fellow empath. One hard lesson that I continue to have to learn is just constantly upgrading my boundaries, because I feel like a lot of empaths, we start off with like none, and we constantly have to evolve with our boundaries. Empathy is what these people lack. Being vulnerable means to have a sensible and empathetic heart and soul. Agree. Corey says, was given the silent treatment from the ex and she withheld sex in the relationship. That's another one. That is a whole topic too, like withholding intimacy from people. Like, okay, if you've been abusive and a woman doesn't want to open her body to you, like that's on you. But when someone's purposely withholding intimacy, that's really, 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 that's toxic in itself. She walked out of my life and she's back. Strange how that happened. I would say in that situation, if you have someone who's manipulative, if they haven't seen a therapist or a coach and they haven't worked through that, it's just going to repeat yourself, and you have to ask yourself if you want to sign up for that again. Matt says, I met my wife shortly after watching your videos. I love that. Thanks for the help. You are so welcome. I love this. I'm going to screenshot this. I just love that. Thank you. Yay. I'm so excited for you and your wife. That's awesome. You'll have to email me a picture of you guys, Matt. Did it save it? Sometimes the Mac doesn't save them. You'll have to email me at arica@aricaangelo.com. Email me a picture of you guys. It's so exciting, Matt. Sharon says, I am an empath too, and I will have this conversation. Thank you for the tools. Yes, you go, girl. Yes, 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 yes. I think the next course I want to create, you guys, and so many people have asked me for this, and I need to just create, is a course on boundaries. Yeah, especially for us empaths, because us empaths, man, we can get caught up in one toxic relationship after the next, getting gaslit, getting narcissist, and it just doesn't need to be that way. There are other ways of learning. Yeah, Corey. It will be interesting which way you go with this, my man. Laporta says, going down in age, I'll be 38 in September. I mean, listen, you want someone who has the same emotional intelligence as you, who can keep up with your life, who's had the same life experiences. So in my opinion, like if you're 38 and you're going out with a 20-year-old, like to me, that's a bit off. Like they're just not going to have the capacity to keep up with you. And I know a lot of like older people, when there's these huge gaps, they're like, well, they're mature for their age. And it's like, maybe, okay, but they haven't had the life experience that you had. And so at the end of the day, there is a big disconnect there. Blair says, I need to start expressing how I really feel, confused in relationships. That is the thing that brings clarity, is communication, is expressing what's really going on. When we don't tell each other what's really going on, it creates a multitude of confusion, and that's where the problems come. Nathan, yes, buddies, what G-Sun said. Sharon says, I have CPTSD too, and it's so confusing. Sharon, I have a great book for you. Damn, I wish I had it right now. Sharon, if you email me, I will send you the book. I'll send you the link to it. It brings so much clarity. Sharon, another book I would recommend, I believe it's called Betrayal Bonding. I think that's it. I would really encourage you to read that, Sharon. It's super helpful. Yes, Nathan says for sure, CPTSD boundaries. Jason says, so true. There's a difference between empathy and being a doormat. Yes, I think for empaths, like that is one of the strongest lessons any empath can learn is boundaries. Oh, thank you, Blair. He says, you look great at the age you are right now. Thank you so much. Empaths unite, Nathan says. It's probably more difficult for male empaths. Yeah, I think for most empaths, it's just really, really challenging. Thank you, Orville. Orville's like, share, stream, please. Yes, be sure to share this, you guys. I really could use your help. And if you guys could help me out by sharing these lives with your friends on your social media, boy, that would help me out tremendously. G-Sun says, for all empaths, I have learned the hard way that the love, even as Jesus and all the prophets preach, it means to strive and stand up for justice. I think it's true. I think that when we stand up for truth and justice, that we're essentially standing up for love. I think the two go hand in hand. Thank you, Nathan. He says, happy birthday month. G-Sun says, you have the example of a very severe and harsh prophet like Elijah. Elijah brought God's wrath and justice amongst the Israelites. But what a superb empathy he had for the widows who showed love. That's true. Sharon says, what's your email? Let me give you my email, Sharon. It is Arica. I'll recommend both books to you. Arica at aricaangelo.com. So listen, like for the person who's here and you're like, okay, like this is me and this is my challenge. Like I would say that your biggest tool to get out of this is vulnerability. That's the best thing that you can do is be super vulnerable about why you've treated someone that way and let them know that you're willing to change and what you're going to do to change it. And if you go to my website, there's the connection meditation. Right now, I have a special offer. If you get the connection meditation now, I'm going to send you a series of emails with 5 challenges. And then after those 5 challenges, just to help you integrate what you're picking up in that connection meditation, after that, you're going to get some emails from me. And in there, there's an offer where you can get my vulnerability course and my new course, 5 things that are sabotaging you from connection. And you can get both of those for $194, which is really cheap because vulnerability is like $397. And then this new course is $94. So you're saving like 60%. So if you go to the connection meditation, sign up for that, you will eventually, after 5 emails, you're going to get an offer to get both courses for $194. And if that's something, if you're like, I did the connection meditation and I didn't get that offer, we just recently changed that. If you did not get that offer, send me an email and I will send you a link so that you can get a hold of that offer. And if you're too lazy to do all that, then just go pay the $397. I'd appreciate that too. But guys, that's the best way to get out of this is to have a conversation. You know, first admitting to yourself is the hardest part of admitting like, listen, yeah, I've been a coward in this. I've been abusive. I'm punishing people. It's only because I'm scared and I'm tired of being scared and I'm willing to do something. That's the hardest part right there. Having that conversation around yourself with yourself is the biggest part. So having that first, and then after you've realized it, ask yourself, do I really want to change this? And if so, then you need to have a conversation with that person and say, look, I've been doing this to you and that's not okay. It's not okay the way I've been treating you. And I treat you this way because I'm scared. And I'm scared of this. And I want to stop being scared. I want to be brave for our relationship. Thank you, Ninja Wolf. He says, happy early birthday, Erica. Antonio, my birthday is July 23rd. G-Sun says, I also believe we need to be very wise with whom we choose to be vulnerable with. Yes, I agree with that. So if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, not the person you want to be vulnerable with. No. No. Because the narcissists, they don't give vulnerability. And I think that that's a good clarification. Narcissists don't give vulnerability because vulnerability requires empathy for yourself and empathy for the other person. And they don't have that empathy gauge. So absolutely not. Whoa, Penguin, Ninja Wolf, sorry. You have my exact birthday. How'd you know I was? Oh, yeah, I just told you how old I was. Yes, July 23rd, 1980. Good. Nathan, he's on day 5 of the connection meditation. That is fantastic. I love it. You got 15 more days to go. I can't wait to see the change that comes into your life. Penguin says, stop being scared and realizing life is an expansion of good or bad communication. It really is true. It's like everything that we produce in our life, we can either eat the fruits of good communication or bad communication, but both will produce fruit. It just depends on what you want to produce. Maria, so glad you're here. Thank you for being here, Maria. Thank you for sharing, Maria. I so appreciate you. It was a lucky prediction. All right, guys, I'm so glad, PJ, so glad that you guys are here. Oh, thank you, Antonio. I appreciate you. Guys, I love you so much. Happy 4th of July. So just to preface it, I do have a video coming out tomorrow about when to use the silent treatment. So today's video was all about not using the silent treatment to punish people and abuse them. But then tomorrow's video is going to talk about using silence as a form of boundaries. And sometimes we need that boundary to protect ourselves. Oh, that's right. Nathan, you like some Brene Brown too. He says, I think Brene Brown says, be vulnerable only with people who have deserved it. And what she says is actually be vulnerable with people who've earned the right for your vulnerability. So it's when, and I like to take people through stages. If I'm vulnerable with you, what are you going to do about that? You're going to respect and love me? Awesome. I'm going to continue to give you more vulnerability. Oh, you took advantage of that and you mishandled that. Well, you don't get more of that. Okay. So thank you guys for being here. Happy 4th of July to all of you. I hope you all eat barbecue and do all the things that Americans do here. We eat barbecue, we watch fireworks. I hope you guys all have a fantastic 4th. I will be back live on Monday. No, wait, Monday is the 4th. I'll be back live on Tuesday. So I can't wait to see you guys on Tuesday. I love you guys. Be well. Don't forget to get that connection meditation. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. All right, guys, take care. Love you all. Bye, guys. Happy 4th.